Good, thank you very much. I'm calling because I talk about you with a friend of mine, and I had him listen to one of your programs, and he was asking me, he wonders, he thinks you're judgmental, and he thinks that also, how do you have all the answers? That's what he was asking me, and I said, I'm going to call him and ask him myself, and I'll see what he says about that, and I'll tell him to listen to your show so he could hear what you say about that.
Tell him not to be a beta male and call me and ask me himself.
Actually, Jesse, he did ask me specifically about your use of the word beta. He says,
Beta male!
I said, I think sometimes he's just kidding around with that stuff, but sometimes I think he's trying to say that, Christians are alpha men. They're supposed to be trying to become alpha, and then I think he's trying to say that if you're living a life of sin, you're a beta, and because you can't control your flesh, And so basically, I told him that's what I think you would say about that. I don't know what you would say, so what do you think?
Beta male is any male who has fear, doubt, worry, insecurity, can't speak up, afraid of women, afraid of losing something. A male with fear and anger. Any man that has anger, any male that has anger is a beta male because he's a woman. Any male that has anger is a woman, and so that's a beta male because he's weak.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Hey, so,
do you have anger, Michael?
Do I have anger?
No, do you have anger?
Yes.
Beta! Beta male!
Well, how about this then, Jesse? If you don't mind, I'm not trying to be a snake in the grass or anything like that. I've heard people who call you sometimes, and they are obviously they're not coming at you in the right way, and I'm not coming at you like that. But
what's the right way?
Well, I hear a lot of people. I've heard sometimes people will call you up and pretend like they're trying to be nice with you.
Right.
Really,
that's a beta male. That's a woman. Beta male, because a male or a woman, but especially a male, because a man is not in his natural state of being when he has anger. But when you have anger, unless you're ready to overcome it, you cannot be honest and fair and upfront with anyone because Satan is your daddy. You're like a woman, so you can't be honest. You're always going to play the snake in the grass. You can't help it.
So if I would like to ask you then, what do you do to overcome the flesh for yourself when you have, because we're all on this planet, we all have our temptations, the devil's always lurking around every corner. So I want to know, what do you do about that? Because
I overcame evil with good. I had to admit that I had anger. I used the word anger, but I'm really saying hatred, because anger just means hate. It means judgment, hate, anger, all the same, right? And so I had to admit to myself, and which God heard, that I have anger in my heart, so I was playing God. And when I admitted that, I forgave, and God forgave me, and everything changed. Because you cannot play God and think that you're going to have a peaceful life. It's just not going to happen.
You're right about that. I do agree with that. And one more thing too, if I could just ask.
And once the spirit come back to the Father, then the flesh, so-called flesh, has no other choice but to obey the Spirit of God that's working through you. It will realign itself, because when Adam believed Eve, not only did he fall away from the Father, but his whole body realigned itself and became subject to the spirit of evil. But once you're born again by forgiving, the flesh is subject to the spirit, which is of God. So it'll come back to order as well.
you know, how do you feel about, or what are your thoughts about, like, people who say Christians are hypocrites because sometimes they say stuff like what you're talking about right now, but then they also are practicing or acting out or doing they might be doing something that's contrary to what they say or preach about, and they're trying to be Christians themselves, but everybody struggles with that. Like you said, you asked me, do I have anger? Yes, I do have anger.
Beta!
Uh, but I don't want it. I'm not trying to
Well,
have
go
it.
and forgive your mama.
but here's my point.
Why can't you go and forgive your mama?
Oh, Jesse, believe me, I have done that. And actually, I took your advice. I went straight to my mom and I talked to her personally. My wife and I, we drove down, or didn't drive, sorry, we took a plane to New Mexico where my mom lives, and we were eating dinner, and I told her everything. I said, exactly like you said, I admitted that I was wrong for judging my mom. The way she raised me, her life, and everything about it.
Yeah.
I judged her, and I had anger against her. And when I realized that that is wrong to do, I told her that. I said, I was wrong to judge you, and I apologize for that.
What did she say?
Because she said, it was kind of funny because I called you a year ago, and I told you about this, and I told her, I don't think she really understood what I was saying, but I didn't really care about that because I said, as long as I went and did what I had to do, my duty,
right.
It doesn't matter what my mom says.
What did she do wrong to you?
Oh, she's had a lot of issues in her life with drugs and neglect, because she was never a part of my life growing up. So I held that against her for a long time because I used to see a lot of the other kids around me, and I would think, how come everybody has parents around them, both of them? Or, and it seems like I'm missing out on all that, and I knew it was because my mom has all these problems.
Well, who raised you?
I held it against her. My father.
Oh, okay. So you're close to your father?
Yes, I am, and I've always had a lot of respect for my dad, too.
Are you the head of your wife now?
Yeah, we're a great family. I love my wife very much.
Are you the head of your wife?
Yes.
Does she listen to you? Does she obey you?
Yes.
She obeys you?
Sure, yeah, of course.
How do you deal with her when you wake up in the morning, she's mad about nothing, or when she doesn't want to do what you tell her to do?
I don't know how to deal with it. I just sort of let it go. If I decide when I want to handle it, when it's appropriate to handle it myself, I tell her what I'm thinking. But if it's something I'm not going to sweat about, I'm not going to sweat over it.
You have kids?
It's kind of funny because for me, I'm trying to think of an instance right now, like what you're describing. But I know I kind of do a little bit of what you're describing, but it doesn't stop us from dealing with our situation.
You have kids?
No, we're working on it though. We're gonna get there.
How long you been married?
2016, so 3 years.
You want kids?
Oh yeah.
So what are you waiting on?
We're waiting for her to get pregnant. I don't know.
To the left, to the left.
I don't have control of that.
To the left, to the left. Mike, I know you were about to ask something there, but I wish you well. I hope you have a whole lot of babies.
Right. Okay. So thank you very much. But Jesse, I do want to ask you a question just before I get off the phone with you because I just want to know. You admitted that you had evil in your heart, and so you were able to overcome evil by confessing that sin.
To God. By admitting to myself that I was playing God.
Yes.
But I didn't know it until he revealed that to me. I didn't know that was the issue.
Do you think, though, that Christian people are struggling with themselves because they believe that they have done that, and yet they see themselves fallen every day when life comes at them, and they get angry, or they tell a lie, or they do something, and then they start to feel guilty about it, and even though in their mind they're going, hey, I'm a Christian, what am I doing here? And they're trying to overcome, and they may have, what do you say to people who are struggling with sin, and yet they're also saying that they're Christian at the same time?
I would tell them to stop struggling get to know themselves, repent, and be born again, because it's a waste of time to struggle with the spirit, because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spirits and principalities and wickedness in high places. So you got to realize of yourself you can do nothing, and of yourself you know nothing. And going down to the front of the church and confessing Jesus ain't it. It's not going to change anything, because it's just intellectual knowledge, and Satan used that against you.
Yeah, you know what, Jesse? Intellectualism, like what you were describing, that is sort of like building an ego. Is that what you mean by that?
That's what it does. That's all it does. It builds the ego, and it makes you think that you know what you don't know. And so when the people read the Bible, and there's nothing wrong with reading the Bible, just don't study it to remember it. But because human beings are in a fallen state, they already know what evil is. They know the knowledge of evil. And so they read the Bible, and now they have the knowledge of good. But just having the knowledge of good and evil is a horrible thing, because it builds your ego and makes you think you know what you know, and you really don't.
Right.
The knowledge of good and evil is not good. You shouldn't be into the knowledge of good and evil.
Okay. Well, Jesse, I really appreciate your time. I do have to get off the phone.
Tell your beta friend to call me if he has a question. Otherwise, he's a beta.
Oh, man, he's a really good guy, Jesse.
No, you're not. He's a beta guy.
Oh, you're hilarious, man. Well, you
and no human being is good.
Yeah, I do wholly understand that, yeah.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, you take care.
All right, buddy. Amazing.